So we are now in lesson 3, using shapes to create artwork for a postcard. In this lesson you'll learn how to create multiple artboards, use tools and commands to create basic shapes, understand live shapes. You'll learn how to duplicate objects as well as join and outline them. You'll work with the width tool, editing strokes, and also with the shape builder tool. We'll also be working with pathfinder commands to create shapes and using image trace to create shapes. So what you see on the screen right now is the finished version of the postcard that you will be making for this lesson. And you can find this in the lesson 3 folder, and it's L3-N.ai. But right now we're going to create a new document, and we're going to go to the File pull-down menu and go to New. And you're going to call this Postcard. And then we're going to go to 2 artboards. And you notice when we go to 2 artboards, the settings come on here. And what we want to make sure we also do is we're going to change to right to left layout. And then we are going to make sure that our measurement is in inches, and then we are going to put 6 inches width and 4 inches height. And then you can go ahead and click OK. And you can see that on our work area, I have now 2 artboards that are displaying here. And so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to save this. And we'll just be saving it basically as a Illustrator file. And that you can be seen by the .ai. And if you notice down here, there's different options for saving files, and it automatically defaults to Adobe Illustrator. So we're going to go ahead and hit save, and then hit OK, and then we will begin the next part of this lesson. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the control panel, and we're going to click on Document Setup. And this brings us back to the Setup menu for our document. And what we're going to do here is we're going to give it a bleed section. So in the top field, we're going to change that to a 0.125. And you'll notice that it changes all of the settings in here. Now, if I wanted to just change one of them and leave the rest untouched, I could unlock it here and do them singly. And then when I hit OK, you'll notice that a red line comes out here. And this it appears around both artboards, and the red line indicates the bleed area. Typical bleeds for printing are about 1/8 of an inch, but it may vary with the type of printer you send it to. So in the first part of the lesson, we're going to create some lamps for the postcard using basic shapes. And you want to make sure that you're in the Essential setup, so go to Windows and Workspace and select Essentials. And if you have any of the panels that are in the way, just go ahead and move them along. And then in Windows, actually in the View pull-down menu, this is where you can find rulers, but you can also go Command R. You can see right here, and this is a command. If you just go to the keyboard, Command R, you'll notice that the rulers come up here, and you'll notice that each artboard has its own ruler as well. So first off, we are going to go ahead and create a rectangle. So we're going to go ahead and select the rectangle tool. I'm going to make this in a double column, and we're just going to go ahead and move it over here for now. And if you remember from the last unit, you know, several things you can do. We can drag it, and what we want to do is get a width of 1.5 inches and a height of 1 inch. And again, you know, that it's easy enough to do, but you may not get it exactly on target. But if you remember, if I just click in here, then I can just put the 1.5 width and the height of 1, and then I'll get perfect measurements for that rectangle that I want to make. Another thing too is right below here, if I click on the corner, you'll see the width and the height will come up, and you notice that I did change it a little bit, so we'll go ahead and get it back to where it should be. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the transform panel, and I just want to show you another place where you can actually change dimensions and angles, etc. of your rectangle property. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in an 0.9 width, actually 0.09, and we're going to a 0.35 for height. And actually, it's not a 0.09, this should be a 0.9, sorry. Okay, and then what we are also going to do is we're going to change the X value to 4.9 to change the location of this box, and the Y value to 3.6. And you can see how the rectangle is moving as I'm going along, and we have it in the lower portion of our artboard. Now, with the new rectangle selected, what you want to do is open up the fill color in the control panel. And you're going to select on the second row here, select the lime green color. And then you can hit escape to get out of this panel, or just click anywhere in the artboard. And then next, you're going to create a rectangle by entering values like width and height. Actually, we just did that. So you're going to go ahead and do another rectangle. So click on your artboard, and on this one, you want to put in an 0.6 for width and a 0.1 for height. And then click OK. And you can see that we have the smaller rectangle showing up at the top here. Okay. And I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so we can kind of see what our next operation will look like. And I'm going to also go into the fill panel again, and I'm going to change this to just a little brighter lime green. And you can hit escape. Now, what we're going to do next is we are actually going to create a rectangle with rounded corners. And so we have, now that we're zoomed in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the rectangle, and you can see we have a rounded rectangle tool. And for this particular rectangle, we want a width of 0.45 and a height of 0.2. And then we're going to click OK. Now, one thing too, oops, okay. So now you can see we have a live shape here, and you notice as I'm moving this, I can create less rounded corners by pulling it out, or I can pull it in and make them more rounded. And what we want is we want not quite this rounding on our rectangle, so we're going to bring it up a little bit, and that looks good. And what we're going to do here now is we're going to go down back to the fill color, and we're going to change it to the lime green. Now, another way you can change the radius of the corners is actually by going into the transform panel here, and basically, I'm pretty close to what I had wanted. I wanted a 0.5. If I delete that, you'll notice I have it now at 0.05. And again, because this is locked, it's going to change all the corner values to the same number. What we're going to do is we want to be on our selection tool, letter V on your keyboard. And another nice thing is we have these smart guides here where it shows me that I'm dead center with the rectangle on top here. And I want to just kind of align them just like that. And another thing I can do is I can change the width if I need to a 0.5. Okay, and then I'm gonna have to go back and center that. Okay, so now we have that part of the lamp completed. So now we're going to talk about editing corners of a live shape. So after you create the rectangle, we can edit the corner radius and the type of corner that we have. So with the selection tool, you're going to select the larger rectangle underneath. And to get there, I'm just going to hold down my space bar, and I can go ahead and drag it to the larger rectangle here. And again, we're going to be going into the transform box here. And what we're going to do is we're going to give this an independent radius on the corners so that each one is selected independently. And we're going to change the lower left corner to a 0.1 and the lower right corner as well to a 0.1. And if you want, you can go ahead and actually, before we lock it up, we are also going to change the type of corner we have. And if you look right here, you have corner type. So I'm going to click on that. And we're going to go to the third one, which is called a chamfer. And we're going to do the same thing over on the right corner. And you can lock it up. And then if you, in the next, okay, so now this next activity is going to be a method for editing the corners of a live shape directly with the widgets. So we're going to deselect here, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going to the direct selection tool, which is A on your keyboard. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag a selection just over the top, because I just want to work with the top corners here. And you'll see these little widgets right here on each side. And again, like I had shown you before, you notice how I can change the corners by dragging those little widgets. Another technique I can do to change the radius of the corner is double click the widget, and you'll see that it brings up this little corner panel, and I am going to put a 1.5 into that and hit OK, and do the same thing for this side as well, and then hit OK. Another method of changing the corners here is I can go up to the control panel up here, hit corners, and I'm just going to put 0 in for the corners. And you'll notice that it has now changed that corner to 0. But you have to have it selected as well. So we'll just go ahead and just wanted to show you the two different ways. But we're going to keep those straight corners here. So anyways, go ahead and save this file, and we'll go ahead and get on to the next operation. And the next part, we're just going to show you some different viewing options. We're going to be drawing an ellipse. One thing about the ellipse tool is if you hold down your shift key, you get a perfectly round circle. And if you don't hold down the key, you can get a various type of ellipse to show. But I want to show you when we draw these, you can see the smart guides and the intersection points, etc. If I turn, and also the width, etc. If I turn the smart guides off, if I go into the view panel and turn these off, you'll notice when I hover over these, I don't get those smart guides showing anymore. The other thing as well is you can also, in the view menu, hide bounding box, which is this blue, bounding stroke that goes alongside of your shape. And if I hide that, then if I want to move it, I can, but I can't resize it at this point, okay? So it'll keep its sizes as I want. But in general, we generally show the bounding box and show the smart guides. But if you needed to turn those off, that's where you would do it. And so what we're going to do next is we are going to make this circle. So we're going to constrain the radius here of the size, but we're going to not constrain it, and we're going to give this a 1.35 width and then a 1.2 height. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and, center this and get it, so I can get it, my intersection going there. And you can use the up and down arrows as well to give it more fine tuning as far as the placement. And then I'm going to go Command 0 to fit artboard and window, and I'm going to bring these shapes down. Now, right now these are two separate shapes, as you can see when I select them. And what I want to do, like we showed in the last chapters, I'm going to go ahead and group these just so that they stay in place. And again, you can go Command G, or you can just go Object Group as well. And then this way, now when I select it, they're in a shape. And then I'm going to bring this on top, also with the intersection, and again, fine tune it as needed. So this is the first part of Lesson 3, and I will be doing another segment which goes on to the creation of this postcard.